Um, God, thank you. Um, so here we go. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Hello?
I'm set. Here we go. Okay, we are live. What's up, everyone? My name is Ed Genesis. This is another Truth Talks. Truth Talk is truth, racial healing, transformation in Kalamazoo. Today, I am doing that's how circumstances dictated today, but we're gonna still push through. We're talking about racism in the entertainment industry, and that's all a wide variety of things. And I was just talking before we got started because there was an excitement of having Miss Erlene McMichael on the call today. There's an excitement to have everyone, but there's a certain topic that I can't wait to touch on, and that is like West Side Story is one of the biggest movies that's out, and there was a bunch of white actors who played Puerto Ricans in the movie, and this is because we have racism deeply rooted within the entertainment industry. And so to have something like Face Off Theater, which we will get into in a little while, so before I do, because I don't want to leave any of these dope, amazing panelists out, if you can all please introduce yourself, and then I will go into the touchstones, starting with Miss Erlene McMichael, since I just blasted you and put you out there like that. If you would please introduce yourself, and when you're done, you can just popcorn to the next person, and then I'll come through, do the touchstones, and we'll go straight into the agenda.
Okay, Ed, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I was going to go last, because hey, there's all these wonderful people here. But I'll go ahead and introduce
Who's
myself.
first? Me?
As you said, my name is
Can
Earlene
y'all hear me?
McMichael, and I wear a couple of different hats. But one hat I'm wearing today is with Face Off Theater Company. And for those of you who don't know Face Off Theater Company, it is a theater company founded by six amazing African American women. It was founded in 2015, and it is under the umbrella of the Black Arts and Cultural Center. And what we do is we put on meaningful works that will hopefully spur social change in the community. We stage incredible thorny topics. It's homelessness, all kind. In fact, Ed Genesis actually even we have talkbacks after our performances, and he led one of them. I'm also an actress, a playwright, a director. I'm also a veteran reporter and editor for public radio and newspapers, and I'm a former arts and entertainment editor. So I feel like I'm a more of a generalist, honestly. So I can talk a little bit about theater, I can talk a little bit about books, I can talk about film, TV, radio, and print and online and media. I can talk a little bit about music. Like I say, I have written about it. I've even written about hip hop, honestly. But anyway, so I'm really delighted to be here. And what I'm really hoping to do, honestly, is to listen too. I want to learn from all our panelists here and learn because nobody has all the information, right? That's why we participate in things like this and then share whatever perspectives I have and hopefully raise questions. And maybe sometimes, maybe I might suggest some solutions. So I think I'll stop right there because we have a lot of other people to introduce themselves.
Okay, cool. Yep, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna jump in because I want to apologize to my big bro. I'm running big bro, but Jack the Mac, aka Calvin Winfield, born and raised Kalamazoo, is the producer for the song Truth Talks. And if possible, Emily, I know I didn't give you no heads up, but if we have any room at the end of the show, I would love to try to cue that up, and have that, that's featuring Jackie Jule, which is an artist that he works with in Arizona. But Cal, Jack the Mac, if you could introduce yourself for the people, please. And then definitely because you produced the track on Truth Talks, but a lot of other things that we're gonna dive into, but please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's a blessing to be here. Man, I'm so appreciative for sure. Little bro, I love you for this one. Like I say, my name is Calvin Winfield. I'm from the north side of Kalamazoo, Cobb Street all day. Always gonna rep that no matter where I'm at. I'm out here in sunny Arizona. Like, I don't want to keep saying that too crazy because I know some of y'all in the cold out there. You feel me? So I'm apologize now because I'm out here. It's beautiful out here where I'm at. But yeah, I produced a record. I played basketball. I was a high school basketball star in Kalamazoo. I was blessed to be able to do that. And after the basketball kind of ended, I started this music journey, and I continued the music journey. I ended up in Arizona. I started going to audio engineering school out here, and I completed that program, and I just stayed. And once I stayed, I started building my foundation. And I always rep Michigan no matter where I'm at, but I had to build this foundation out here in Arizona. And I'm out here with a record, like a production company, clothing line, artists that I work with. I just produced Jackie Joulet's whole album. Another rapper named Emerge McVeigh. I got like 4 projects I'm working on. Look forward to working with Dolo in the future. Like everything, I'm ready to kill it. Let's do it. Thanks for having me. Let's talk.
Thank you so much for being here, big bro. I got another brother on the line, so I got to go over to him real fast. Uh, I've been knowing this guy since I moved to Kalamazoo, really. I I affectionately call him and another guy, Jesse, his brother, his blood brother. I call them my Mexican brothers, because I literally learned so much about the culture, the heritage. Um, I even have Our Lady of Guadalupe tattooed on my left arm in honor of my Aunt Doe, and I asked for permission, honestly, from my brother Jesse, and that's my brother Dan O, a community leader, a great human being, um, a great representative for the Latinx community. But for those who don't know, he's also a DJ and has a great knowledge of the music business and a lot of things within the industry. So he started Adelanto Radio, which he didn't wait for nobody else to give him a platform. He created his own platform because he know he knows the power in that. I don't want to speak too much for you, bro, but I wanted to make sure I gave you my just due, of how much I respect the moves you made. With no further ado, if you could please introduce yourself, Dano, please. You're muted. You're muted, bro.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I know we all have different walks of life, but myself, I came as a migrant farm worker, and I'm very proud to admit I didn't really had a childhood life. My childhood life was out there in the fields working. Uh, so I landed in 1985 here in Kalamazoo. My mom and my stepdad, they were like, you know what, we're gonna stay here. Well, fast forward, uh, out of all the places in Kalamazoo, I landed right there on 828 Staples. I went to a couple of talent shows in Elma Powell. I probably was the only Mexican family on Staples back in '85. But anyways, fast forward, got a full-time job. I'm very blessed. I'm going on 25 years as a supervisor at Mount Everest Memorial Park, and we all know where that's at. It's not a really happy place, not a happy joint, but I've been here for 24 years, going on 25 here in the next couple months. So, anyways, working here, and we all got a life after work. You know, we don't forget where we're from. We don't forget our passion. We don't forget our music. We don't forget our homies. We don't forget our relatives here and there, hit or miss. Some are still with us, some are not. Fast forward here in the last 10 years, um, I was helping my brother Vince Snell, years past 90, 91, carrying LPs, house parties everywhere, Whole Top, Parchment, Northside, Hopkins, etc. And never DJ, but always carry the milk crates everywhere for these guys. So, anyways, so I had my little dues paid. But anyways, again, fast forward uh, about 2015. Got together with a couple fellas and say, hey, why do we have to go to Lansing or Detroit or Grand Rapids and all that just to have a little fiesta, so called, for our people? And sure enough, huddle up, wrestle with the city a little bit, Parks and Recreation a little bit here and there, and we didn't give up. And we were blessed to have the fiesta for 3 consecutive years because it was kind of fading away for 9 years. So we brought it back for 3 years, but that helped me build a little bit more with our city, not only with our people, but with all different aspects. And sure enough, I was like, you know what? I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more. I'm not camera shy. I'm not mic shy. And I'm bilingual, so I can get a couple places that few people can't. With all due respect to everyone here in this panel. And sure enough, a good mentor of mine, Mike Ramirez, has been an anchor at WMUK 102.1 for the program going on 44 years, volunteering, just our Latin music from all over the country. Not only South America, we've got to include Spain and Brazil and all them other ones. So anyways, I joined the WMUK family back in 2015. Totally different studio DJ than the house party DJ. Let me tell you what they do what they do there. So anyways, at WMUK, open up a little bit more doors for us. I see what else I can do. And sure enough, I hooked up with a lot of musicians out of all the places that I want our music, our Afro-Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, etc., all mixed. And Bells opened the door for us. And I brought 3 events back to back at Bells. And 4 years ago, also I was working on every Thursday night on Facebook Live. I made up a platform. I gave anyone a platform so that way they can talk about LOVE, which is leadership, opportunity, volunteer, and education. And I picked that up because a couple of mentors of mine passed away in an automobile accident, and their volunteerism, I didn't want that to fade away. So I figured, I'm like, let me do something. And right now, the program's still 4 years standing. And I'm very thrilled and very honored and blessed that I pause what I'm doing every Thursday night. And out of my own home, I do a Facebook Live introduction to anybody, all walks of life. And also, I was able to connect on what else can I do. And just this past year, 4th annual coat drive that a lot of volunteers helped me do at Dr. Martin Luther King Park. And that's something that is just, it hits home. You got to have thick skin from time to time. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? Si tú puedes hacer, if you can do, and give somebody else the torch and pass it on, you come home, it's a huge commitment. I delegate myself every day. Every day is a Monday to me. I don't even wait till the weekend. And I get involved with so many other things though too. I mean, I can go on here for about an hour and talk to you, but I'm blessed. And I appreciate all of you that you guys have different walks of life. But then again, hey, we all believe in something. We all have faith. And we all have families. And I salute each and every one of y'all. And I'm just very interested on meeting other individuals on the panel. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, bro, and for you breaking down, because you have broke down a lot of barriers that we're going to get deeper into in just a minute. I got my little sister on here on the call, too, a dope artist, Dolo Ari. Man, we haven't even known each other that long, but her personality's like just what they say, the light shines in you, not on you. Just a dope spirit, a dope person with such a great testimony. Talented, got little man with you. That's so dope. Introduce yourself, Dolo R.
So I'm over here hoping and praying he gonna like quiet down a little bit. But you know, I'm Dolo Ari. I'm 19, a young female rapper out of the north side of Kalamazoo. Just glad to be here. It's a blessing. Shout out to Ed Genesis, Supreme Levels, everybody right here on the panel. It's amazing to be here, and I'm just excited for what life is gonna bring me. Excited to talk about and represent for the Black community, the struggles. You know, I'm struggling right now. I'm still on here. So it's real. It's real.
It's all good. It's all good. You get little man straight. He's still young. He just turned 1, y'all. Last week. So yeah, little man growing. But we here in solidarity with you. And then last but not least, I just got so many brothers and sisters on this call. I appreciate you all. So my brother Don Henfield, this is also my business partner. We started Supreme Levels Music Group a little while ago, and it speaks exactly to what we'll be talking about today, which is like breaking down some of those barriers. There is everything in North America has tainted. It has been tainted with some form of racism in some form, period. Education, sports, music, TV, you name it. And so it's up to us. And when I say us, those who feel left out of the conversations, those who feel underrepresented, those who see that their stories are not being told, we don't complain, we make change, we push forward, we use our voices, and we use whatever resources we have the same way our ancestors did. You know, we're gonna beat on the drum and we're gonna make some noise. With no further ado, I want to introduce a business partner and a brother of mine that sees the same vision of saying let's invest into the youth and see if we can help them get a leg up in some of this entertainment industry, no matter what that may be. So with no further ado, Mr. Don Henfield, if you can introduce yourself, please, bro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Don Henfield, born and raised in Kalamazoo. Can I hear me? All right, cool. Born and raised here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, on the north side. Supreme Level Music Group. At ESET, we are business partners, and we just believe in the community, believing in these hot artists and this youth in the community. We also have Blocks United, which is an initiative that we put together that was picked up by the city of Kalamazoo. So shouts out to that as well. Just over here working, trying to BTO, as we call, beat the odds, and just maintain and make it as we got the young dope artists on the call. Shout out to Jack the Mac for the beat on the Truth Talks. And yeah, Supreme Level, y'all. So we're gonna break down this whole music, entertainment, anything entertainment, sports entertainment, and just touch on some things on that real quick. That's all I got, Ed.
All right. Thank you all for your introductions. I pray and hope that the community is tapping in and seeing all of the wonderful people of color that are in place to help somebody else. I learned from a wise man. I just said this earlier today when we were at the studio taking some young men. The wise man name is Mr. Mark Hill. When I thanked him for the advocacy work that he did in helping save my life, I am directly impacted, having 3 felonies, formerly incarcerated, before being able to come to the platforms and the different things that I'm doing now. He said, no thanks needed. I use my torch to light yours. I'm not passing you the torch, but I will use my torch to light yours. And that's all I want to do, is use my torch to help other people light theirs if I can, and to be a vessel. So with no further ado, I want to go into the touchstones real fast. and the touchstones are an agreement, so to speak, like a verbal agreement that we come to when having discussions on truth talks, which is a part of Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Kalamazoo. It's imperative that we just don't talk about the things that's going on, but we try to come up with different ways of offering our expertise and our lived experience to be able to break down ways to actually transform some of the things that we have been facing and making it better for the next generation. So the touchstones: be 100% present, extending and presuming welcome. Speak your truth, always by invitation. Listen deeply. Maintain confidentiality. No language of the soul is privileged over any other language of the soul. Value feeling as much as knowing. No fixing, no saving, no advising. Identify assumptions and suspend judgment. Respect and learn from silence. When things get difficult, turn to wonder. Trust the healing process, your own heart, and the hearts of others. And we also have maintained confidentiality. And even though this is a public forum, what we mean by that is that we don't take conversations out of context from this public forum and take them to colleagues, friends, loved ones, and repeat them without having someone's expressed permission. And then always by invitation, even though you are all welcome panelists, you don't have to share. If it's something you don't want to touch on, feel free to not touch on. And with no further ado, again, let's go straight into the agenda. I'm excited to just get ready to kick this off. So here we go. The first part of the agenda says, why are the majority of the owners of record labels, sport franchises, media owned by white men, yet the face of those industries are Black and brown people? This was one of the first questions that I wanted to dive straight into because we see it all the time, all of the time. Why? We all know the answer, but I want to hear you all's expertise from your different lived experience and things that you've witnessed. So going straight to Dolo Ari, I see you shaking your head. Why? Why do white men run everything, but yet we are the faces for a lot of things?
Well, I want to take it back in history. You know, a lot of people don't know the Black race was the first race on the planet of the Earth. And I feel like the Black person, not to undermine any other race or ethnicity, we so amazing, so talented. And I feel like a lot of people need that and want to bite off of that. And we have a lot of powers and a lot of knowledge that even we don't know ourselves. So these elite people, these people who are in these new positions of power, I feel like they need us. They need our faces. They need our style. They need our personality, our creativity, the things we can bring to the table to lure others in, you know, even if they don't really care about us or the situations we in. I could put that in place with a lot of things I'm going through right now. You know, just to be honest, I'm homeless myself right now. And it's none to be ashamed of. I'm not ashamed of that because God is walking with me, you know, so it's real. I'm still here. I'm still trying to achieve everything I can. But yeah, I feel like we're needed. We're needed. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to expand, because not leaving out any of our Latinx brothers and sisters or any of our Native American, definitely not our Native American brothers and sisters, nor our Asian brothers and sisters, or any people of color. This is not to be offensive, but it's for real when it says that a lot of our culture has been stolen from, bitten, and used. So it's like it's cool to almost make a mockery of, or to even replicate, but not cool to have the actual people who created it. So I definitely understand. I understand what you were bringing up with that, from stealing from the culture and not giving the people the proper due. I want to go straight over to Mr. Erlene McMichael with the same question. Why does it seem that white men are dominating the industry, or I'll just say non-people of color, but yet we are some of the biggest breadwinners in
I guess where my mind goes is actually a little bit broader, right? I think that there are certain industries where there is a large number of us, for example, sports, the music and so on and so forth. But I think even bigger than that, which is that how about the leadership in just about any organization, right? Why is that, right? And it's more than what I think. What it is that it starts all the way back in slavery. You know what I'm saying? We're hopping along with our hands tied behind our back, hopping on one leg, and trying to compete. It's hard for people of color to try to build wealth in this country. You know what I'm saying? And so if you can't build wealth, you know what I'm saying? What do you have? You're trying to, it's hard to pass things on to your children and to make things better for the generation after you and the generation after you. And if you're, you don't have money, you don't have resources, maybe you can't go to college, you can't get the access where you live. Oh my gosh, I remember there was a movie out a few years ago and I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it connected the dots between like where you live, determines like where people are recruiting, for people to go to certain colleges. You know what I'm saying? You're not in the pipeline. You know what I mean? Even if you were a bright, outstanding young person. And, I ain't no shame in my game. I always say something like, people see the glory, but you don't know my story, right? What you don't know is I was on welfare. My family comes from the projects of Brooklyn, New York, Farragut Projects, okay? And generational teen mothers. My mother was a teen mother, okay? And her sisters were teen mothers and her mother, you know what I'm saying? And trying to improve things from generation to generation. And I'm not ashamed to say that I am a beneficiary of different types of programs that help give me a leg up. You know what I'm saying? That helped me get to college. You know what I'm saying? And go to an Ivy League. And I went to 2 Ivy League schools because of certain programs. I became a reporter because of a certain program. You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say that. But, so what I'm saying is that we are not in positions of power, right? And when you're in positions of power, you can bring others in, right? But we're not there, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's the media, which I'm in, you know what I'm saying? But what we are seeing more and more though, and I forget which athlete just announced, or it was announced that he purchased some team or something or another. We see Magic Johnson, different people who are trying to become business people, who are trying to earlier, Ed, you were basically talking about you were talking about how Dano, created his own platform and so on and so forth. This is what we have to do. You know what I'm saying? Create your own platform. Say Face Off Theater Company. You know what I'm saying? If you're not seeing the roles that you would like, right? That's telling your stories, right? There was a need for it. And so we created Face Off Theater Company, right? It is a safe place where we have, people can become an actor, people can become a director, people can become a playwright. I became a playwright as a result of Face Off Theater Company. I started there just as an actress. I got a chance. You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to become a director last year for the first time. Where else would I have gotten those opportunities to do that? And other people would have gotten those opportunities to do that. And I'm also thinking about, as my brother Dana was talking, I started to think about, he was reflecting on the different things that he's done and how you got to change things for the next generation. Even as a journalist, as I have gone along, I've tried to give back. And when I was at the Kalamazoo Gazette, I'm now in public radio at Western Michigan University. I started actually a program to because I saw that there were low numbers of people of color who were journalists, right? So we can sit there and we can complain about it, but I said, I'm gonna do something about it, right? And so I did. I created a program, a summer program, and they put out a newspaper. And over a 12-year period, I serviced more than close to about 100 students, right? Including your wife, Ed. She was in the program. And I'm proud to say that it did bear some fruit. I just heard the other day a brother that is Mexican American. His name is Roberto Acosta. He is now the editor of the Flint Journal. Okay. Yes. And in the article that they wrote about him, he cited my program. And when I met him, he was a parking attendant. You see what I'm saying? You got to see potential in people. Okay. And this is what we need to do. Okay. And I can go on and on, but I'm going to pass the mic because I know other folks I'm going to feel like church up in here. So I'm just going to I'm going to let it go. I'm going to pass it on to somebody else.
Nah, you know what? I really appreciate that because you dropped the mic within the first 15 seconds of what you said, because you lifted up the intentionality. Like, well, of course we don't have that power, because that would mean that we get to open up the doors for future generations or for the youth. And it's some people that ain't having that. I don't care what that is. And like you said, that's in anything. We have been blocked, and I really appreciate you lifting up that intentionality of the barriers that have been blocked, because that is indeed racism. Big bro, Jack the Mac, the same question, even though that was a mic dropper and he talked about the intentionality, I still just want to hear your perspective on just you put in for what you've done. You know, you should definitely be CEO of something, but should you be? And because you are actually, you are the CEO of something. So I don't want to take away from what you're doing. But when we see things it's like we pit against each other sometimes. You didn't get the Grammy, you didn't get this. So I know how, like, what Miss Earlene McMichael just brought up about the intentionality. Like, it's not set for you to be able to change the generation as a Black.
Can y'all hear me?
Jack Mac, that's on you.
Okay,
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I don't know, man. The cool thing is that when you see people get opportunity, like Miss McMichael did, they're very successful. You know what I mean? When you see people get opportunity, like Ed's been getting opportunity, he's been very successful. So I think we need to push more to try to get more people through the door with those same opportunities, because as Black people, I think we're gonna shine, period, whenever we're put in those type of situations. You feel me? So I don't know, man. Whenever like people like Magic or Jordan get a team, it still bothers me that they don't come with a team of Black people. They have Caucasian people still involved in the whole scenario. So that I don't look at that as being the owner of anything. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I think we still have like the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Like, if we would have stood more behind that, just like when Breonna Taylor had her situation and everybody at the NBA shut down and said, we ain't hooping, we ain't playing. And they shut down, they started changing things immediately. Because you're right, we are the Black faces for all of this. You feel me? So with that being the case, if we just sit down and say we not playing, a lot of these things have changed, but we still out here shucking and jiving. So we still, as a whole, we don't get it as a whole. And that's what bothers me. As far as me, success is a measuring stick. You feel me? How you measure your own success is kind of how you create your own starship. I quote unquote want to say. You feel me? I've worked with SIBO. I've worked with MC Breed. I worked with MC8. You know, people that are true legends. My guy Chili Powder. You feel me? Like true legends that I've been blessed to be in their life and work and had the opportunity to be in the studio with them and work with them. So in my regards, I'm proven. You feel me? That works for me. But then I'm still chasing more because I know my potential. But at the end of the day, you kind of measure your own success. So, you know, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm good. I'm trying to build off what I've been creating in the past, and I just want to move forward. But like, I definitely want to try to push to get more Black people through these programs. The programs, we got to find out these resources. We got to get these people in these programs so they can excel, because whenever Black people get in these situations, or people of color get in these situations, we're going to find a way to excel. So I think that's the whole thing, man. We got to stand together, stick together more. We got to push more to tap into these resources. And I'm going to stop there.
No, that's great input, and I appreciate that. So those resources are education is key. Knowledge is power, and actually knowledge is powerful. The application of knowledge is power. Because you got to build power in North America, which is flooded by capitalism, which is another trait of racism. So, but you said an interesting term, which was shucking and jiving, and I want to skip into, well, not skipping past anything, but just diving straight into the stereotypes, which is next on the agenda. So we're talking about how stereotypes are portrayed and encouraged to become successful in the industry. And when you say shucking and jiving, so once upon a time, our dialect, and when I say our dialect, Black people's dialect, who this was not their original language. So when they say, ain't that this, or the different quote unquote broken language, that was taught by the people who own the land, their masters. So these was white people who talk like this. However, it was attributed to us as not being able to know how to talk and being portrayed like that as characters. This was portrayed in cartoons, different shows, and this led up to what they called a minstrel show, where people would actually perform in blackface and paint their lips white and basically over exaggerate the most negative, pejorative, the most negative attributes that you can attribute to a race. A lot of them were made up, and a lot of them were, like I said, exaggerated. But if you watch cartoons and you grew up in North America, then you saw every race. They just did away with Speedy Gonzalez. The Siamese cats on the I think it's not Alice in Wonder. It's the Lady and the Tramp, if I'm not mistaken. And Jerry Lewis wearing the big teeth and having his eyes pulled back and having the makeup added to exaggerate and look like a Asian American. We went through that phase of being mocked, disrespected, and ridiculed. And then, in order to get roles, pay bills, and exist, some of our own decided that they will come in and do exactly what Jack the Mac brought up, which was shuck and jive. And in the Black culture, we call it cooning, shucking and jiving, and things like that. But it's literally perpetuating the harm and the hurt. And then there's that divide, because you have to ask yourself, the many of Black comedians that have dressed up as women, did they make that choice to do that for a laugh? Or is there something subliminal in Hollywood that suggests the emasculation of Black men? And we have to wonder about racism, and we have to wonder about shucking and jiving. Or is somebody pushing a stereotype that can be more harmful and hurtful toward our race and as a culture? And I don't want to going too much further into that, but that's something that comes up serious for me, which is why it's on there. It started off as us being mocked, disrespected in cartoons, movies, and everything. And then some of our own people came and were the front runners of pushing that. How do we feel about that, you all? Mr. Arlene McMichael, I gotta go to you first, because Face Off Theater, especially one of the explosive presentations that I came to, was like straight up was counter narrative and denounced that without denouncing it. It did. You didn't have to argue, debate, or anything. We saw power, and that wasn't shucking and jiving. But how do we feel when we see our own people perpetuating stereotypes that we know are harmful and hurtful?
I know I can just speak personally for myself. I don't appreciate seeing it. I grew up in the days of when you went to the movies where they were blaxploitation movies. That was on my time, and I remember going to the movies and seeing that. What I can tell you is it's been a slow evolution over time. I've been doing some reading, and I was even reading about some of our light skinned actresses from way back in the day. This thing is pinging. Where even they sometimes had to even they were told to put on some kind of like tanner thing or something so that they could look a little darker, including why am I blanking out on her name? Lena Horne, even Lena Horne, so that they could be a little darker. So over time, I know we had some black actors who did some roles, whether it was being a servant or whatever it is, things that were demeaning, things that were stereotypical. But I guess what I would say is that for that time, that was the only way really that they can get in the door and become an actor, so to speak. But what we've noticed over time is things get better and better and better and better. But now where we're at right now is people making a conscious choice to do that, right? People who can actually choose to do something different, right? You're talking about dressing up as women, and I can think of like Madea, right? Right? He's got plenty of money. He doesn't have to dress like that if he doesn't want to, right? So that's clearly a conscious choice, right? But I'm just going to leave it there and say that's his preference. That's how he's choosing to do his art, right? But as far as how Face Off Theater likes to do its art, what I like in America is we have choice, right? And that there are so many people of color now who are getting ahead of telling their stories. We're telling our stories now, right? It's no longer other people telling our stories, we're telling them, and we can tell them authentically, more authentically than anybody else. And so, and people have choices, and so I guess that's what I would say. And people can choose with their feet and don't go see that kind of stuff if they don't like it. If we keep going to it, it's what it also says something about us as a people, because those movies are successful, right? It says something about us, right? So we're going to them, but we can also choose to go to something else.
Thank you so much for that. Especially, I really appreciate you lifting up, because this was definitely not to discredit anybody who made a choice. Because, like I said, if you could feed your family, pay your bills in North America, you're hard pressed to come up to somebody, especially me. I sold weed to feed my family once upon a time. I have no judgments, and I've done worse than that. That's just one of the things I was good at, and I thought didn't cause any harm, but I've done things that actually cause harm, which I thought was right. So I have no judgment whatsoever, and I really appreciate the fact that you lifted up the choice and people having choices. I Before going over to Dano, because I have to get you to chime in on this, because I've seen some things and we've had some conversations actually offline. I gotta go to Dolo Ari first, because a part of stereotypes is I saw one of the most nastiest rap videos today. And if you are right now, 2021, a young female rapper, especially a woman of color, the stereotype is if there's 3 songs on your CD, we're expecting to hear a song that's over sexualized. If we see a video, we're expecting to see something. Like, what is that about? And because I know you don't identify with those type of stereotypes, I wanted you to chime in on that. And once again, I'm not judging the young ladies who did the video, so much so I won't even name them, because it's not about bashing or throwing them under the bus. However, there is a stereotype amongst young Black women that is not just in the music industry, Hollywood, school, so on and so forth. There's an over sexualization for women of color, an exotic fetish type of thing. And when you see it played out in the entertainment industry, it does create harm and hurt a lot of times for our sisters of color. And I just wanted you to chime in on that. how do you feel about, like, not really opinion, but because you don't choose to perpetuate things like that, how does it resonate with you when you do see that, or even suggested that, hey, you ever thought about doing something like this? It'll sell more albums or you'll get more sales. How does that feel?
Uh, honestly, I hate that feeling. It's definitely hard for me because I'm not that kind of young female. I have more respect for myself. But back to the first topic, I feel like Black people, we always been raised up and told and seeing on TV that we can't, and we're less than. So that's another reason why I think people choose to, or they easily persuaded into, wearing women's clothing if they're a man, being sexually suggestive if they're a female. But honestly, it's like we can do it. So I appreciate platforms and panels like this, to be able to be live and be on TV and show people that, it's other ways. But as far as the sexually suggestiveness, it's like, I mean, it's a hard battle because every day I think, and me and Ed, me and you have conversations where it's like, I've questioned, should I do this? Should I do that? Because I'm multi-talented and I would achieve at anything I do. So it's like, should I do this? Should I do that? Because I'll succeed faster, but as you were saying, I'd rather take small, more important steps, so these legacies that we're trying to build can last longer. How long is that going to last? I feel like Black people in the Black community, even other races, I feel like we waking up more and more, and 2021 can be a great year. I feel like we opening up and our eyes and our ears are open. And we learning more and we seeing more of our potential, and platforms like this is just putting it out there, for people that can't see it. I'm hoping it's people that just run across this somehow, and other things that you guys, everybody on this panel is doing, and I hope I can be an inspiration, to other girls my age or guys, whatever. So yeah, I definitely don't like the feeling of that, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm all right.
That's what's up. I appreciate that. Because you know what? Going straight over to my brother Dano, one of the things that we had a conversation about, and to anybody younger viewing or listening, this may go, a little over your head for a moment, but if you Google it, there was so they have All American Girl, they have the White Bombshells, and one of the top 10 actresses during the 40s and 50s that was considered white. Her name was Rita Hayworth, and she is not white. And my brother Dano and I talked about, like, I was blown away when I found out the surgeries and the things that she went through to present white. So sometimes it's being objectified, as being over sexualized, but sometimes it's just literally being told that you are not good enough. Your talent, everything else, your delivery, she didn't have to change vocal cords, anything. But you have to change your appearance. And once you did that, she was accepted. And Dano, I just wanted you to chime in on some of the horrendous stereotypes you have witnessed and seen, and the talks we've had of how that's not cool, and the harm and hurt that it does create.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go a little bit. I'm just want to rewind a little bit, especially on the female rappers. And it's not just what's out there on the videos. It's not what's out there that we see just on the radio, because the radio is not going to play it. But man, we need a Latifah. We need a Light. We need a Roxanne. We need somebody from like the 80s and 87 just to explode, and because, man, the last 10 years even, all they're talking about is three things. And everyone in this panel knows what I'm talking about. So, but then again, on the long run though, too, every time we see a movie, regardless if it's drama, comedy, horror, etc., you always have who you have as a dishwasher, who you have as a cook, who you have as a maid, who you have as the villain, who you have as, you know, is always, you know, it's always somebody, my skin color, my black hair, that they're playing that role. I mean, them roles. Or better yet, put it this way. If they see me like this, I'm already getting labeled already that I'm going to be playing the gang member. I'm going to be playing, I'm going to be stabbing somebody. I'm going to be doing, you know what I mean? So the other thing though, too, I want to mention though, too, it's, it hurts pretty deep when you go to a Mexican store or so-called authentic Mexican stores and they want to label themselves American freaking tacos, right? So anyways, you go there, you see the freaking stereotype, bro. Every time. I can go to like 6 places right now in Kalamazoo. You know, it might not be, you know, Arizona might be a lot different, California, Texas, etc. But here in our own town in Kalamazoo, I can see the favoritism and the fake smile from my very own just because somebody else, either darker or lighter than me, get treated and get service. And that's, you know, and I sit back and I look, I went, damn, dude. I said, you used to pick the same apples as me. You used to pick the same, you used to be in the fields with me, you know, and wow, you have an established business or food truck, etc. But yo, when these gringos come around the corner, or when other individuals that are not my brown skin color or my type of hair, all that, yo, you see the difference. And I understand, because I used to be the same way too, you know. I used to say, oh man, they just want to be white. Oh, they just want to be. But then again, it falls back on how well that individual, or just in that atmosphere, how well the education comes in. Because that's a big difference right there. Because a lot of people that I know, either they're black or Mexicanos like myself, or a couple Cubans, as soon as they don't look like apparently the way a Mexican should look like, man, we come in different flavors, man. You know what I mean? And but so many people are so easy to criticize and label. You know, it happened to me last week. I'm dressed with my work clothes. I'm going somewhere. Yo, the difference, you get treated. But if I'm out there ready to go all suit up, doing something or whatever, huge difference. When I used to go to Foot Locker, when I used to go to Finish Line, dude, back in the day, NNK, when John and old boy was there, it was different. Because when I used to go there dressed up, or I used to go just, you know, the way we used to dress back in the day, you know, and I moved on to another level, and I don't dress like I used to dress anymore. And you can tell the difference, the way you dress or the way you talk or the way you. But yo, when you're doing it to your own people, I can, you know, I'm not naming the businesses, but you know, out of respect, because I'm cool with some of them, and I don't want to smash anybody. Everybody got their own flavor, they got their own coin, they got their own story. But when you see your own kind treating you different, just because a gringo came, when I mean gringo, that means, you know, a white person. Some white person comes out of nowhere, whatever, you can see the difference. Sometimes I don't even get to say hello, good afternoon, what's the specials, or nothing. All they just look at me and just like assume that I'm ready to order, or assume what I want. And then my man comes, my coworker, and he didn't believe me. When I took my boy Jay for lunch, and then sure enough, all I said, hey, I want this, and that. But as soon as they asked him, he had options. They gave him options. Oh, how do you want your tacos? Do you want them Mexican? Do you want them Americans? And my thing is, though, it's crazy, though, too, because my thing is, like, why do you have to label freaking tacos or something just because? I mean, put it this way. Who picked the damn tomatoes and lettuce? If you really look at the big picture, it's us. So, I mean, them little things there can explode, get somebody mad, get somebody, you know. Shoot, I was even thinking about talking to some people, and for 1 second, 2 years ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something, but I know a lot of people will stand behind me. There's other ways you can rephrase foods, you know what I mean? or but so that's one thing, that it throws me off. Why do you have to label your food? Why do you have to label, or put it this way, if you really think about this, Taco Tuesday, dude, it blows my mind when I hear that Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Why? Dude, and it started in LA, it started over there, whatever, but it is a racist situation if you really look at it. So, no different. Talking about stereotype, no different than, and I can go deep in this, and I'm sure Ed and McMichael, we can talk about this for a long time. Let's say the so-called American flag, the red, white, and blue. You know how much it goes through my mind when people use that as car dealerships. I mean, people say they fight for that flag. People say they do for this flag. People say they do. But then again, or wardrobes, you know what I mean, for the females and the males and shorts, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, if you respect that flag so much and you're going to use that flag, the USA flag, and you're going to do materialistic things for business, money, land of opportunity, right? It's just, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, so many people are so judgmental on put things in so many different perspectives and worry about the little tiniest things. But this right here, no one's talking about it. No one's, so I just kind of sit back and I'm like, is that another thing that I'm going to jump on and do something and have 20, 30 people walk and talk and protest or whatever? I don't know. But there is a lot of, the music has changed a lot, and I'm more of an underground guy. Just like my man Jack over there, he said I got a good eye, and I told him, I said, man, they look like the Eighth Wonder album over there. Because and that's the thing though. I mean, you don't forget classics. You don't forget the music. You don't. I mean, there's no way. And matter of fact, the individuals over there, one just passed away recently from the Sugar Hill Gang, but dude, none of them really pressed the pen and paper. Only one out of the three. So, and today's stuff, dude, it's just very, hey, everybody got a time to shine. Everybody got a time to make money, go out there, do their thing or whatever. But open your heart, open your mind. Is it really art? Hip hop to me is art. So, anyway.
You lift it up. No, you good, bro. I got to touch on before you lifted up something powerful with the tacos, though. And everything has to be Americanized because they don't, we have to adhere to what the white people say. So when I moved to Kalamazoo, I met a guy named Frankie Smith. And Frankie Smith wasn't his name. Frankie Smith is full-blooded Cuban, and his name is Francisco. And I don't want to say his last name because I'm not putting his business out there, but I know his first name is Francisco. But he was told when he moved to America, in order to not be teased and to be more quote-unquote Americanized, let's just call him Frankie. So many people's names are taken away, whether it's Martin Sheen, whose last name was Estevez. And so Emilio Estevez kept the name because his grandfather was heartbroken when Martin Sheen took him to the movie theater for the first time, and he saw Martin Sheen on the billboard, and he asked him, like, why are you ashamed of your name? And it's not that he was actually ashamed, but America teaches you to. I didn't even know there was a quote-unquote Mexican taco until the last 2 years. I've been so Americanized, I prefer the American taco. That's all I've ever had. So when I first got the other one with cilantro, no sour cream, I'm looking, I'm like, this ain't what I'm used to. That's because I've been poisoned and Americanized and robbed of what the true culture was. And I want to say this last part real fast. I just found out where the original Caesar salad came from, which is Mexico. Yeah, I had no idea. So everybody that has Caesar salads and all this, I had no idea. There's one particular place where this is why it's called a Caesar salad. And again, this is like cultural misappropriation when you're not given the historical facts on the cultures that help change your palate and give you some spices. And that's all I was taught was Christopher Columbus sailed and wanted some spices. Yeah, so he wanted spices and all of that in the New World, only to find out when I got older that they didn't have spices over there. Jack and Mac, turning over to you. One of the things that Dano just lifted up was how important it is for us to cross over. So if you got a white mechanic fixing your car, that's the mechanic to go to. If you have a white man that gave you a record deal, like, man, I just got off the phone with the white boy, and so that means something. Not to everybody, of course, but society suggests that the white way is the right way, which of course is perpetuating racism. But for those of us that exist outside of the realms of this, how do you feel when things like that come up that says you need it like this, or if you didn't go to the white man to do it, how does that come up for somebody like you?
Well, it's obvious. Like certain human beings have been conditioned to just think a certain way because of what they've been taught. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. So that I think a lot of that is that. You know, as far as the music being stripped down and all of that, I think they did that by design. You know, when I was raised, the talent level of hip hop and producers and people involved with music was at such a high level. It wasn't so overcrowded because you didn't look at it and say, hey man, I can do that, because the level of talent was up here. You feel me? Nowadays you have the talent level down here. You have so many people looking at the talent level saying to themselves, hey, I could do that. You know what I mean? And so they did that purposely. They changed the dress code. When I was young, hip hop was fly. We had the flyest tracksuits, the Adidas, no shoestrings in them. Like I could see, like how Lil Bro went on a BET, fly with the hip hop structure of hip hop, no shoestrings in them. We had a culture of hip hop, and a lot of that culture in hip hop was the way we dressed. You know what I mean? They stripped us from all of that. They took all the positive music away. They started feeding us all this BS music, and it turned into violence in the streets. Because now, you know, and I know that the next topic is coming up, and I don't want to jump the gun because I read over it as well. As far as the violence, like being in the rap industry is probably the most dangerous position that you could hold in the country right now. Like, you know, being a rapper used to be cool to be a rapper. You know, now being a rapper is extremely dangerous because they purposely stripped the music down and created violence amongst us, I think. So
I need you to touch on that real fast though, because before we even make it, quote unquote make it. So we ain't got signed by the white man, but we're so successful to other black men that don't know how you did it, or it could just be what they call the crabs in the barrel theory, which that is in the black culture, suggests that if you ever saw crabs in a barrel, when one crab makes it to the top, that just instinctively, whether they're trying to do it intentionally or whether it's intentional, the crabs bring each other down. So the crabs never make it to the top of the bucket, or rarely. And so it's suggested that in the black community, we do that to one another. I'm lifting that up to say, I also have to say this. Jay-Z had a dope quote a few years ago, was like, nobody never questioned that crabs shouldn't be in the barrel in the first place. So we have to literally identify the fact that when you are in a traumatic situation, you don't know how you may react. So not knocking anybody, but being for real enough to say that we're not in 2020, we're not talking about how many country singers were shot, how many R&B singers were shot, it's rappers that are shot and killed. And a lot of it is young black men pit against one another for a number of different unnecessary things. And I wanted to stop you, Cal, or Jack the Mac, to chime in on the fact that there was an incident here. It involved myself, a local quote unquote rap beef that escalated out of hand. Me and another guy pit against each other. That we've known each other for so many years. It shouldn't even happen that way, but it did. And it escalated and spilled over, and I'll let you tell the story of what happened next, prior to you moving. And those are some of the things that we deal with. And that didn't involve white men or racism or none of that. It was just us against us. So if you could speak on some of the trickle down things that happen when those type of things are suggested.
Well, first off, in everyone's defense, like, you know what I mean, and that situation was years ago, and it sucks that that I personally had to go through it, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what it allowed me to see was how competitive hip hop was at that time. You know what I mean? And that's what I think created the whole scenario. Like we approach it with a competitive nature. You know what I mean? So sometimes you dealing with alpha men, not beta men, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're dealing with people that's competitive, and everybody got a chip on their shoulder, and everybody, we think little bro the best, they think they got the best, you know. It was a terrible situation, but it was a competitive situation. So I don't like to talk, because I like the competitiveness in hip hop. I think we need to get back to that. But if we could just keep it competing and it doesn't go to the streets to where it's violence, then that's where the situation starts to occur. You know what I mean? Like my personal situation was like little bro say, we thought he was the best. They thought their guy was the best. It trickled down to relationships being built within the two crews. And, you know what I mean? Like I said, I ain't here to put nobody business in the street, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of things that was created amongst the whole rap scenario, right? And during that time, it was still real competitive. Like how they compete now is not the same. And it started to change then. Right. So, you know, I ended up getting stabbed over this whole scenario. Some guys caught me by myself, and I was an act of violence. You know what I mean? I scrapped with them for a little while. It was too many of them. It got to me, stabbed me up pretty good. You know what I mean? Luckily, I came out okay. I didn't have to have any major surgeries or anything like that. I just got stabbed up, you know. So it was a part of my hip hop story. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to us not being able to communicate with one another, because like little bros, the two people who we thought was the best at the top, they had known each other forever. So we kind of pitted them against each other, being competitive. And that's really all it was. You know, when I think back on it, we was younger, you know what I mean? And everybody wanted to be the best. And then one thing led to another. And then you know, you dealing with, like I say, alpha man, nobody's no sucker, everybody kind of street doing what they do. So everybody got this, everybody got guns. So I think we have to stop the initial violent act, because once it starts, it could go here and there and there, and you know what I mean? So, you know.
When you lifted up that alpha male, we just touched on that a little while ago, and that's a trait of toxic masculinity, which again, white men said you take it by force, manifest destiny. I have the God-given right of just taking everything. So we watch quote unquote cowboys and Indians. We watch different things, bank robbers. We watch so many things growing up that just says by force, I'll take your woman, I'll take your car, I'll take anything from you. And that lends to that. And that is a trait of again, racism, to violently want somebody else's spot, to the point we didn't own nothing and you got stabbed.
Yeah,
we didn't even own a studio.
That's an
me and the guy, hold
nature.
on, I have to say this was so embarrassing that we talked about years later. Me and the guy that dissed each other originally drove all the way to Battle Creek studio to record. We lived in Kalamazoo together, like 5-10 minutes away from each other. We drove all the way to Battle Creek to record a diss song against each other, to bring back to Kalamazoo to get all of the people riled up in the city. It's just dumb. Yeah, competitive, but when we compete against each other in that harmful way, I've never seen Garth Brooks and whoever else beefing to the point over album sales that they fighting on the red carpet or somebody getting stabbed. It's always us, and that ain't cool. That goes back to the Willie Lynch laws and those rules and things that were implemented. But I want to keep it moving because I don't want to talk a whole lot. Man, y'all, we got a whole lot. So one of the things that was on here was, I'll just touch on this real quick, and we don't even have to spend a lot of time. Emily was mind blown to know that the artist formerly known as Prince had to change his name because racism in the music industry. They owned his name, likeness, music, everything. He had to literally fight to even get his government name back. That's the type of industry we're in. He went on Good Morning America and wrote "slave" on his face. And I remember being so naive and young at the time that I thought he was just being weird. And he actually was protesting because artists, it took a lot of protests. And Michael Jackson had the same type of protest. And a lot of artists have said, this is not fair. I am not getting my just due. Kanye West, Tory Lanez, so many people have said, the minute I find out what they're doing and I demand my just due, different things are implemented. And I just want to lift these things up. In the music industry, they have what they call master recordings. Anything copied after that are called slave reels. So if that's not racist, I don't know what is. And that has yet to be corrected. Also, the ice cream truck, which will be coming out because the weather is breaking. The ice cream truck, the average ice cream truck, that's because I don't even want to say their names, put anybody on blast. I'll say the average ice cream truck, yellow and white, that you will see in your community coming up very soon, plays a racist song called N-Word Loves a Watermelon every year. This is played in my eardrums. I had no idea what this song was. Columbia Records put this song out years ago. It's on their catalog. And anytime an ice cream truck, so the way publishing works is we can't sing happy birthday publicly without somebody, I think it's Columbia Records, getting a check for that. If we broadcast any music right now and we don't own the publishing to it, they will mute that portion of this live performing right now, this live broadcast right now. In order for the ice cream trucks to secure licensing to play this song everywhere, they had to enter into an agreement. It's known by Columbia Records and by the ice cream truck that this is the name of the song. We have to stand together. It's called N-Word Loves Watermelon, and it is not called N-Word. It is using the actual word with the ER. It's horrible. It's very harmful. And I just wanted to lift those things up. Because what does accountability look like for companies with racist origins? Taking the cartoons down or putting disclaimers in the beginning of them, stopping Pepe Le Pew from being in Space Jam 2, to me, that doesn't sit as well because I had no idea what wait a cotton picking minute. I didn't know what that meant growing up. Once I found out what it meant, I was like, wow, like, that's not cool. So what does that look like? I would like to ask all of you, going back over to Miss Erlene McMichaels. What creating our own is great.
Yeah, as you're saying that, one of the things that come to mind is a couple of things. What we're talking about is systems, right? And I don't know that we're going to change everyone's mind in the country in terms of not being racist. So this is why you got to focus on systems, right? Why you got to focus on addressing institutional racism and change the systems. That's what we got to do, number one. And when I think about that, people think, hey, you can't make a difference. even everyday people can make a difference. And an example I want to give you is, you might remember in January 2016, there was a movement called on social media called Oscar So White, right? Because all the Oscar nominees were always white. Right. And what it was is, there was a Black woman. Her name is April Rain. She was an attorney, and she just decided that she had had enough of it. Right. Just one day she woke up, I guess she saw the nominees, and she had had enough of it. And so then she started the hashtag Oscar So White. And then it just like got a life of its own. But what happened as a result of that, right? Just that small action that she took, what it led to, and we're not all the way there yet, I know that, but what it did lead to is that, okay, so when they vote on what the Oscar nominees are going to be, it's a group of people who do this, but the mix of the people who do this, right? So as a result of her doing that, they had greater inclusiveness among the voters, right? So I always say, I tell people, use what's in your hand, right? Whatever you know, you could, that's what she used, what was in her hand. So whatever level you're at, right? If you're at a very high level, use that level, right? Even within organizations I belong to, when I'm at the table, you all don't hear about it. But when I'm at the table, whatever table I'm at, I'm saying something, right? So whatever table you're at, whatever you have in your hand, you know, that is what you should do, and speak up. But again, addressing the systems, I really think that is the way to go. And I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Another thought that I had is this: is that there is implicit bias and unconscious bias. I'm going back to kind of an earlier point. Essentially, I'm trying to think what that point was exactly, but it was talking about music. What is music, and what is considered talent, and who defines that? You know, is it European sounding music? You know, who determines what our music is? And one of the things that I found out about are whether our music, our plays, our movies, who's judging this, right? And one of the things that I found out from April Rain, because I did actually interview her, the woman from Oscar So White movement, she said that some of these judges haven't even watched the movie. Okay, number one. Number two, then there's the lobbying that goes on, right? And who can pay for a big lobbying, right? For some of these smaller, really great movies that might have people of color in it, right? And and um, and then let's just be honest, right? So, you know, if you're white, you know, and you're coming up with nominees, you're only going to think of the movies that you already went to see. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to think about other kinds of movies that you've not heard about, right? So that's why you have to have diversity everywhere, you know, to help pick a lot of these nominees. So I think I'm going to just stop right there. But changing systems is really what it's about, and speaking up wherever you are.
Yeah. You just hit that, like, for real, for real. Definitely, if we don't change systems, then as an organizer, I was taught, then we'll just keep having to get babies out of the river. We got to stop where the babies are originally coming in and being placed in the river. So thank you for lifting that up. And I love the analogy of using whatever's in your hand. Like, that's all I have is what I have. And it's so much sometimes, because it's so much what some people have never heard. So thank you for lifting that up, and just re-encouraging for all of us, no matter what quote unquote level we may be at in life, use what we have, because it could be very valuable and could push somebody else to that next. Thank you very much for that. And you also sparked something. So, okay, how you just put the last part, and hold on, y'all, because this wasn't part of the necessary agenda, but this was I think this should be, like, let's unfold it just a little bit. Excuse me. The level, how did you just put it? When we're looking at the
What's talent? Is it what's talent? Who
it was
determines the talent? What lenses are we looking at?
it was the systems part and the things that we can do to interrupt the systems. And I'm just thinking about the intentionality of not only what we're doing now, but you made it sound like, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth by all means, but the way you said it sounded more like less complaining and more doing. And I just kind of want to lift that part up and just really lift up the let's do more. That's the way we interrupt systems a lot of times, because we all could you said it started with the hashtag, and so that's what it was. It was the Oscar So White.
Oscar So White, and keep the pressure up, because I
Yeah.
know we're running short on time, but what I do want to lift up is the fact that think about 2020, right? Think about how all eyes were on the whole Black Lives Matter movement, that momentum. You know what I'm saying? The protests are pretty much over, at least the large protests, right? But you got to keep the pressure up. You got to keep the pressure up. Think about it. How many companies after George Floyd and all this, every company had a statement. Oh, I support Black Lives Matter. I support that. I support. Okay, well, hold them to it. Hold them to it.
That's right. That's right. Dolo Ari. Um, for somebody entering into something like this at such a young age, that's what I really love. That was powerful. What Miss Earlene McMichael just lifted up was the fact that it shouldn't be on you to come in and change what's been so nastily hurtful and harmful to so many. But if you just do your best to change up and not subscribe to any other things. And I don't want to speak for you either, but what does that feel like coming in and hearing like those words of encouragement? Like, it's not on you to get in there and complain actually, but actually create something to where you and Lil Man, like y'all got something different. What does that feel like?
It really feel good to hear a lot of moments on this panel right now that made me want to tear up, because it's like the struggle is so real and the pressure that's put on us, the stereotypes go real far. We can be put through so many things and told we can't do so many things and we can only do this, but we can't complain. We can't cry. We can't stress to nobody else. We can't try to group together. So it feels good to me because I'm in a situation right now. Like I said, I'm homeless and I stand up for other people who might be homeless. And it's hard out here, especially in the darker skinned community, because it's like, nobody want to help you. I've been told you can't complain. Just do something, and if it's not that, I got to conform. So, I mean, it's so much going on my mind right now. I can't touch on everything. It's a lot I didn't get to say, but it's about the knowledge for me that I got today. So it just feel good, and shout out to you, Earlene. I think you're doing a great job right now. And I want to be like you. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I feel like I was babbling. Okay.
Dolo Ari will be getting interviewed on 95.5 as well. And I have to lift this up because not just homeless. I picked her up to go to the studio at the Baymont Hotel on 11th Street. She called me 2 days later and was like, Baymont Hotel was putting me out, and we didn't even know why. So I had to make some phone calls, including to my wife, Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin. Shouts out to her. And we found out that they were making room for the homeless situation that was like in the Arcadia. Now, here's the problem. She was put out with her young, almost 1-year-old baby, sitting in the lobby when we came to pick her up. No disrespect to anybody going through a homeless situation, but when we don't know people's stories and see the statistics, then we don't know that the biggest homeless population amongst elementary school kids in the state of Michigan is Kalamazoo. Then we don't know that 80 to 85% of the people who were just funded to go to Baymont Hotel are white men. Then we don't know that the black mothers who represent the biggest homeless population in Kalamazoo are underrepresented because a lot of times they either double bunk or sleep with family members, so on and so forth. So I had to lift that up because that actually hurt, and I didn't want you just saying, yeah, you're homeless and people don't. actually understand the context of some of the things that's going on. There's no reason why you should have been. You were paid up to be in the Baymont, and that's a whole nother story. Dano, I want to go over to you before we close out.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I know Dolo mentioned before we took off and having this awesome conversation, is her first time streaming. But I think it will be a good element, and I think it'd be a good hint with everyone's stories, everybody's struggles, everybody's different walks of life and aspects each and every day we do. I think I encourage you to write a song about what we talked about today. That would be really, really dope, very original, and it will be something that would be. It'll be something on you can have that thought. It's like, you know what? Yeah. So, and especially things that you said to us too. So it's not just us. So
well, I got some music. I got some music dropping. I don't want to jump in there, but I got some music dropping, and all I talk about and keep it real about is the struggle and everything I'm going through. Okay. So it's there and it's coming. Shout out to Air Genesis, you know,
good,
all that.
Awesome.
And know you ministered to me, Dolo. Okay, I admire you. Okay,
wow. Keep
it up. Keep it up.
That's what I'm talking about. Connections and networking. I want to lift up something, y'all, because I am the host for this. And sometimes me wearing my heart on my sleeve and touching on such touchy subjects, I am directly impacted. So I don't just speak on them just to be speaking. These things directly affect me. By no means was I didn't mean to name any industry, any person, any corporation by name, or throw anybody under the bus. These are my I statements. This is Air Genesis. I said these things, and I did not mean for hurt or harm. I do believe when people are educated and become aware of different things that they will do better, such as they say, if you knew better, you would do better. And so it's not my aim to attack anybody before they have the proper understanding of hurt or harm that they may have contributed to, and giving them the proper opportunity to sit on a panel to speak to what it is they did. So I don't never want to talk behind nobody's back or slander or bash any industry, corporation, or any people. Definitely not on this platform. That's not what this is for. I thank you all for being here and expressing your truths. Sorry that this was choppy and all, for myself moving around. I hope this came through clear once I sat still. I really appreciate y'all. I've said it before on different topics such as COVID, such as violence in the community, violence during COVID, cultural things. This has to be a part 2. I have to invite you all back to be able to go a little deeper on certain things. And when we do, I would like to hear from you all, what projects currently are we all working on? Like what's popping? What are we doing? What can we attend? What can we support? And matter of fact, before we close out, anything that we can support real fast, y'all shout it out before closing out of here. And thank y'all again for being here.
Shout out Bill Play, Supreme Levels. Let's keep it going.
Okay, since nobody's jumping in, Face Off Theater Company. Find us, like us on Facebook to find out what's going on. We're also at faceofftheater.com, theater with an R-E. We have a play coming up on May 21st, a new play by a local African-American playwright called I Am Grace. And I'll just only pump this other one. We're real excited about Pipeline. It's coming up in July, and it has to do with the prison to school pipeline. Okay, y'all don't want to miss that. Okay, so that's in mid-July.
Keep supporting each other. We all got different paths. We all got different walks of life. Keep supporting each other regardless what nationality you are. But if you are, whoever you are, stay strong. Keep supporting the youth. keep active on your culture, keep acting on your story. Your moms and dads say sometimes they're not there for us, but we have to be there. And we all keep saying our little kids are our future, but we need to stay strong and we need to make sure, hey, them little kids are watching. So much respect to everybody in the panel. And
thank you for everybody. Nice seeing y'all. Thank you for this opportunity, Ed. Y'all can add me on Facebook at Dolo REDOLOAURI and look out for me on all platforms.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Also, Don Hempfield and Jack the Mac was kicked off, but Jack the Mac, again, the producer of the Truth Talks, that's available on all platforms, featuring Jackie Joulay, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, everywhere, and that's the Truth Talks like theme song. So check that out. And shouts out to Jack the Mac, super producer, rapper, artist, and also shouts out to Don Hempfield. Okay, Jack the Mac is back, so you can give anything for us to check out for.
I'm getting such a horrible connection. Can y'all hear me? That's why.
Yep.
To come step outside y'all completely. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to resort to the cell phone. But yeah, Lil Bro, he called it out. You can find me Jack on the board.
Yeah, you going out again. But that's pretty much about it. Thank you everybody for being here again.
Thank you.
A blessing.
Keep pushing. Okay. I support all of y'all, what y'all doing, like for real, from the heart. And let's keep pushing. Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right. Upside your head, I said truth upside your head. Truth upside your head, I said truth upside your head.
Wake up everybody, no sleeping in bed. No more standing on the sidelines or thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much than what it used to be. But together we can heal while we build community.
Okay, so what you hear is not a test. All hands on deck at a time like this. Join TRHT, just an abbreviation for truth, racial healing and transformation. Now imagine having a conversation, practice touchstones and using your I statements. Being fully present when it's your turn to listen. Our community is building and healing through resistance. Truth talk.